Alright guys, so this is a quick video to demo the practical work that we did in visual paradigm in the lab, because I saw many of you in the mock exam did not submit the use case diagram question, and most of you did it wrong. So this is just to recap what we did, right? So whenever you open visual paradigm, you're going to see this interface, right? So if you saw any project that is currently open, you can just click on close, and once you close it, it's gonna ask you, do you want to save it or not? Just say you don't want to save anything, so you'll return to this interface. All right, so you click on this plus sign and you choose use case diagram. Choose a blank project. All right, give it any name. I'm just going to leave this as default. Click OK. Close this notification here. We start always by dragging and dropping, and I'm going to drag and drop first of all the system, which is going to be my container for the use cases. Right, I'm going to go through the example that we had earlier about the e-commerce system. This can be found in lab 5 if you want to know the exact details about the use case diagrams. Right, so I'm going to drag and drop an actor. We say that mainly we have two types of actors, primary and secondary, as stated in the documentation of the lab and in the documentation of the lecture. You will have the primary actor initiating use cases. The secondary actor, right, can work as a primary actor as well. So the secondary initiates and participates, but the primary only initiates. So I'm going to go with the customer as my primary actor, since this guy cannot participate in anything, right? So he only initiates. So I'm just going to initiate some use cases. Once we create our actor, we can just click on the actor. You're going to see this reference or resource catalog. Click on it, keep clicking, do not leave the mouse, right? And drag and drop anywhere here. Let's do this one more time. Right, click and keep on clicking, drag anywhere inside the system, and then choose the normal type of association, right, which is just association, this one. Give it a name. So this is going to be a browse catalog. All right, if we want to put any arrows that indicates that this is the guy who initiates, this is a primary actor, so this guy initiates this use case. All right, so we can go, not this point, I made this in a separate video if you want to see. It's called the adding arrowheads to use cases or associations in use case diagram, right? So you can check the video. So I'm just going to go to the opposite side, and I'm going to right click on navigable unspecified. You have the arrow, so this guy initiates this. Let's do another one. I'm just going to make let's make it 3. So I'm just going to say that this is going to be a request refund. All right, so this guy initiates the request refund. All right, let's have another one which can have the include. All right, so I'm just going to say place an order or checkout, place order, like that. And on the other side, you can just make it initiate. We can do that this initiates like that. I'm just going to put this here and this there. All right, we can say that place an order can be followed up by, I'm not going to do the entire thing. You can do it just like that from the include from here. I'm going to click Control Z, but there is another way, which is the one I actually told you to do in the lab. Just the way we did this with the actor, just stand in the use case, click on the resource catalog, drag and drop, leave anywhere, and then leave the mouse, and then choose include use case. All right, now you have it. Right, so let's do this one more time. Click on this resource catalog, drag and drop anywhere, and then include use case. All right, so this is going to be shipping information, or adding shipping process shipping. And note that this is going to be an abstract use case, right? So we can have abstract use cases, and we can have abstract actors as well, right? This is the third type of associations. We say that we have include association relationship, we have extend association relationship, and we have generalization. Please refer to the tutorial that you have in Moodle, or the documentation of the lab, right, or the slides of the lecture, and you're going to see all of these mentioned. Okay, so I'm going to create a generalization out of this. So we have two methods of shipping. I have local and I have DHL. So I'm just going to choose generalization from here, right? I'm going to use this is process via DHL. Right, and this is another one, resource catalog, drag and drop, and choose generalization like that. So this is process via local. All right, That's cool. Now this is going to be an abstract, or the parent. Whenever you see generalization, this is called parent and these are called childs, right? Or these are the same types of this parent type, right? So the parent type is always called an abstract use case, or the base use case, the abstract base use case, and this is called concrete use cases. So these are concrete types. That's just an abstract type, right? So abstract always take the, from model elements, it takes the abstract to be italic. An italic type of text means that this is an abstract use case, right? So this is the convention. And note that all use cases needs to have verbs: browse, place, request. I didn't write shipping, I wrote process shipping. Process. So everything needs to be verbal. Okay. Just as we did the abstract use case, we can actually have an abstract actor. We can say that we have a type of actor that is called user. I think I mentioned this briefly in the lab, but we didn't actually do it. This user can have an abstract type of actor, right? So where is it? Generalization actor. So we can have a type of actor that is customer, right? A type of actor that is can be also, for example, admin, right? So any use cases that the default user can do, the concrete users, which are types of the main parent user, can also do. So it inherits anything that this guy can do, can initiate, right? This is the point of abstraction or generalization, right? So you can have abstract actors and concrete actors, or you can have abstract use cases and concrete use cases, right? So I'm just going to control Z because I'm not going to use this in my example, right? Finally, we said that a use case needs to be associated with some kind of service, right? If there is another service that processes it, then you need to associate it with it, right? Let's say that we have DHL. Who gives you the service of DHL? The DHL company. And who gives you the service of local shipment? The local shipment company, right? So we can just do this like that, right? And these are called third parties. Third parties are usually represented with a rectangle, but sometimes some platforms like Visual Paradigm do not have rectangles. So we're just going to stick to the default actor representation, right? So this is called a third party, right? This is the party that only part switch. So a primary actor initiates, a secondary actor initiates and participates, a third party only participates, right? So we can say that this is going to be the DHL company, like that, right? So I just did an include, by the way, in this, because if you saw the documentation, you can tell that include relationships refer to things that happen mandatory after one another, or things that are included within one another. When we say that we have a place and order requirement, this will never be done until you say that shipping information are entered and maybe credit card information is entered, right? So all of these details needs to be included within placing an order requirement or use case, right? This is not a standalone thing. This happens within the process of placing an order or checking out. So I hope the concept is clear. So this is included within the place and order. There is also adding credit card information or pay you with credit card, but I'm not going to include that. And note that whatever comes to you in the exam, you need to follow the statement specifically. In the statement, it's going to be mentioned, does the process information details or shipping information details happen mandatory just right after you enter the place and order process or not? Or does it happen optionally? If it's happening optionally, then this is going to be an extend, not an include, right? So the statement is going to be explicitly saying if things happen mandatory after one another, so it's include, or within one another, so it's include, or is it happening optionally after one another? So that's extend, all right? Let's say that for some reason, after you choose the method, you get sent an email of the method you chose, and that's something that is optional, right? It's optional from the user point of view. Let's say whenever you choose the method, there is a box that says, in the website, there is a box that says, do you want to receive an email confirmation that you are going to process the shipping via DHL or via local? And you hit yes, you hit the check mark on that checkbox, right? So you immediately receive a mail regarding the shipping information method that you've chose. So that's something optional. So if it's an optional, I can add an extend to it. So I can go to this use case and I can drag and drop, and I can click on extend from here, right? So the extend makes things a little bit scary, but that's normal. So the use case basically was called process shipping, and it says that it has extension points, it has other extended use cases, and this is the one that we are talking about here, right? So the extended use case can be send confirmation mail, right? So send confirmation mail. I'm going to edit this as send confirmation mail as well, so they are matching, right? So this is the extend. Okay. Finally, there is another actor. This is going to be a secondary. That's the admin. So this guy participates in what? In request refund. So I'm just going to drag and drop in the middle of the use case, drag and drop, and leave it there, and just choose a normal association. So without an arrow, that's participation. With an arrow, that's initiation. This is the guy who initiates, and this is the guy who participates. Right? I hope this is clear. There is another custom stereotypes that I've mentioned inside the lab, and I've mentioned in the documentation of the lab. So if you went to the documentation of the lab, you can see it, right? Sometimes some people can add an extra association here, an extra custom stereotype that says something like initiates, right? And some others can label the participate as participates, like that. All right, so one final thing to say is that initiates and participates are called custom stereotypes, as I've mentioned, and I said inside the lab that these two are generally any custom stereotype that you see is added by the developers of the community, the developers, the architects, the consultants, the UML community itself. They added this along the years of using the use case diagrams, because maybe they thought that having an arrowhead, having a line with an arrowhead, is not sufficient to indicate who is the actor who initiates these use cases, right? So it's not sufficient to say that this guy initiates this use case. So we can add just a label here that says initiates, right? As the same goes for this one, it's not sufficient to say that this actor initiates or participates in this use case without an arrowhead. So having an arrowhead or removing it's not sufficient, so they thought that why not just add a custom stereotype that says initiates on the arrowhead line and participates on the line without the arrowhead, without the arrowhead. Okay? So to recap, these two are not necessary to include, and it's also not wrong to include. It's logical, right? But it's not necessary. Okay? These two are not part of the UML language, meaning that association types are three. We have include, we have extend, we have the generalization between use cases or between actors, right? But we do not have initiates and participates. These are called custom stereotypes, not part of the default associations type, right? I hope that this is clear. And you can also, as I've said, you can just remove them if you felt that they are unnecessary to you.